distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On the behalf of the Boğaziçi University, the Center of Innovation and Competition Development Studies, I would like to welcome you all to the third annual conference of Center of Innovation, New Directions in Innovation. To start the conference, I would like to invite His Excellency Vice Rector, Professor Ali Tekcan, as Provost of Professor Gülay Barbarosoğlu, Boğaziçi University Rector, to deliver the opening speech. Professor, the stage is yours.
Distinguished guests, dear colleagues and students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of Boğaziçi University, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this important and timely conference, New Directions in Innovation. As you all know, and much better than I do, globalization and the rise of new technologies have changed the growth and the competition paradigm. In today's globalized landscape and challenging economic environment, innovation-based competitiveness is perceived as one of the most powerful ways to drive business growth. Innovation represents a business's insistence in evolving and adapting to the changing face of competition and market conditions. Innovation means new lines of value creation and higher quality that boost up creativity, productivity, production, and trade. In 2013's Global Competitiveness Report, Turkey is defined as an economy transforming itself from an efficiency-driven economy to an innovation-driven economy, indicating that Turkey has developed more efficient production processes and increased product quality. So it will be from now on very difficult to rely on solely price-based competition. At this point, competitiveness must be driven by higher education and training, efficient goods markets, well-functioning labor markets, developed financial markets, the ability to employ and exploit the benefits of existing technologies, as well as a large domestic or foreign market. At this stage of innovation-driven economy, companies must compete by producing new and different goods using the most sophisticated production processes and by themselves innovating new ones. So Turkey is at a very critical juncture and a transition period. Business organizations are constantly facing the challenge of gaining competitive advantage over their domestic and international competitors. With Boğaziçi University, we consider ourselves at the forefront of higher education and research, and data backs this claim from several domains, including innovation. And indeed, our colleagues at the Boğaziçi University in 2011 established the Center for Innovation and Competition-Based Development Studies. Our aim is to expand information and innovation-based competitiveness to the national base. We believe that innovation itself is more than just a process. It's a way of thinking, a belief, a philosophy that embeds itself in the fundamental elements of governance, sustainability, efficiency, and the competitive agility to deliver value. So in concluding my remarks, I thank all the participants for being here, for coming to Boğaziçi University for this conference. I also would like to thank our colleagues at the university for organizing this conference. I hope it's a productive and enjoyable conference for all involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Now I would like to invite Her Excellency Professor Emine Nur Günay, Director of Center for Innovation, Competition-Based Development Studies, to deliver her opening speech. Professor, the stage is yours.
Dear distinguished guests, colleagues, and students, on behalf of the Center for Innovation and Competition-Based Development Studies, we are honored and pleased to welcome you all to our third conference. This conference has a very special meaning for us because, as Boğaziçi University, we are celebrating our 150th year this year. And we hope this conference will be a platform for thought leaders, academics, researchers, and practitioners to share the ideas and views on innovation, incentives, success stories, and recent developments, which will challenge all participants to think more about the role of innovation in development and challenges ahead. At this point, I would like to take the opportunity to highlight two issues: Turkey's performance in science, technology, and innovation in the last decade, and global competitiveness and innovation indices. Turkey has recently been engaged in a significant science, technology, and innovation policy with the vision to contribute to new knowledge and develop innovative technologies to improve the quality of life by transforming the former into products, processes, and services for the benefit of the country and humanity. I would like to present science, technology, and innovation indicators in the framework of Global Innovation Index. We have inputs and outputs according to this index, but I would like to focus on the output side. And we define outputs as knowledge technology outputs and creative outputs. However, I would like to focus on the first one, which are R&D investment, R&D human resources, scientific publications, patents, and utility models. When we look at the gross expenditure in R&D and the GDP, we see an increasing and a parallel trend in both. Gross expenditure in R&D increased from 3 million in 2002 to 11 billion in 2012, making almost threefold increase. Such a level of growth is the highest in the OECD members. The major motive behind this sharp increase is the establishment of the Turkish research area in 2004. The share of the gross expenditure in R&D in GDP was about 0.5% in 2002 and almost doubled by 2012. This puts forth a significant catching up dynamic towards reaching the target of raising the share of gross expenditure in R&D to 2%. During the last decade, the EU has encouraged increasing levels of investment in order to provide a stimulus to the EU's competitiveness. The Lisbon Strategy set the EU an objective of devoting 3% of its GDP to R&D activities by 2010. The target was not reached and now forming one of the 5 key targets within the Europe 2020 strategy adopted in 2010. In 2012, business sector funded 45% of expenditures in R&D and higher education funded 44%. As for the share of the government sector, there is a gradual increase from 7% to 11%, and the share of the government seems stable around 10 to 11% since 2005. For the first time in 2008, the business enterprise became the leading sector to fund R&D, outspending the higher education sector. It is apparent that all sectors have increased the amount of their R&D expenditures. The striking feature of this figure is that the industry expenditures shows a substantial increase, outspending the government and higher education. R&D expenditure abroad stays lowest in all years. A similar trend is observed in terms of shares. However, the share of expenditure by sources seems more stable. The share of industry reached from 35% in 2003 to 47% in 2012. The share of higher education is around 21%. Human capital is the essential component of the research base because people can carry their knowledge handling and problem-solving capabilities in all our other parts of the economy. The National Science and Technology Human Resources Strategy and Action Plan aims to increase R&D personnel, foster a research culture, develop researcher skills, mobility, and employability. The stock of full-time equivalent R&D personnel has nearly tripled in the last decade, reaching about 105,000 in 2012. It has a share of more than 80% of total employment. Therefore, Turkey met its initial national target of 40,000 full-time equivalent researchers and raised the national target to 150,000 full-time equivalent R&D personnel by 2015. Many policies and initiatives have been implemented to foster research culture, increase human resources in R&D, and improve researchers' skills. Again, private sector employs the highest portion of R&D human resources, then comes the government and higher education. As a measure of scientific performance and the capacity to transfer and exchange the produced knowledge, international publication is an intermediary output in the innovation system that may lead to new products and processes. Turkey exhibited a rate of increase in publications, nearly fourfold increase in the 2000s. There is an exponential rise, reaching more than 25,000 ISI publications in 2012. Given the large population of Turkey, this puts the number of scientific publications per million population in 2012 at 331 publications, which represents nearly threefold increase based on 1998 values. There is also a significant increase in the number of citations from 32,000 in 1998 to 129,000 in 2009. However, Turkey ranks 18th with respect to scientific publications as of 2012. Recent bibliometric analysis suggests that Turkey, along with BRIC countries, is in the process of driving a catch-up to the NAFTA, the European Union, and the industrialized Eastern Asia. As another measure of the outputs from R&D, patents contribute to technology diffusion and provide incentives for further innovation, hence affecting economic performance. Since 2000, the patent applications to Turkish Patent Institute have boomed with an exponential rate of increase, reaching a total of more than 11,000 utility model and patent applications in 2012, the highest level in the history. Due to the combined effect of intellectual property awareness and increasing R&D expenditures since 2000, Turkey has exhibited a rapid increase in the number of international patent applications being filed to international patent institutes. When we look at the number of, When we look at the number of patents granted by the Turkish Patent Institute, we see the dominance of foreign patents. To sum up, there have been an increasing trend in all major fields of science, technology, and innovation. It was accelerated after 2004 with the launch of and the implementation of the Turkish research area. The trends in the science, technology, and innovation indicators of Turkey show significant improvements in gross expenditure in R&D and the total stock of human resources in R&D. And the business enterprise sector has been a key driver behind the science, technology, and innovation momentum. Science, technology, innovation indicators provide a momentum to reach the national targets and drive a greater convergence towards the EU 27 and OECD averages. As the 17th largest economy in the world, Turkey attracts increasing attention from other countries as a destination of FDI and patent applications. However, Turkey ranks 44th among 149 countries with respect to Global Competitiveness Index. Here we see countries with much smaller GDP ranking in top 5, such as Singapore, Finland, and Switzerland. What could be the driving force behind this picture? Is this a coincidence? When we look at the Global Innovation Index, we see 8 countries in top 10, which are also in top 10 in Global Competitiveness Index. And Turkey ranks 68 among 142 countries. So, when we compare the Turkey's position with other emerging countries, Turkey is doing much better than the other countries except China. But it is not enough, so we have a long way to go. I would like to take the opportunity to thank our distinguished speakers and panelists. It is a great honor to have them all with us today. I thank my colleague Ali Coşkun for his sincere support in organizing this conference. Last but not least, I would also like to thank our partners and sponsors, Istanbul Development Agency, İLİ Consulting, Technology Transfer Office, and the Business Angels of Boğaziçi University for their contribution, which makes this conference possible. In closing, I wish everyone a successful, fruitful, and enjoyable conference. Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor. Now I would like to invite His Excellency Mr. Mehmet Büyükekşi, Chairman of the Turkish Exporters Assembly, to have his welcome address. Mr. Büyükekşi is also board member of Turkish Export-Import Bank, Turkish Airlines, Istanbul Development Agency, and council member of Istanbul Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Büyükekşi, the stage is yours.
Dear Vice President, Mr. Tekcan, distinguished guests, dear researchers, dear academicians and students. Thanks for inviting me to this conference. It's a pleasure to be here. Today, I will speak about the Turkish Export Assembly, Turkish economy and export development, and last about Turkey's 2023 export strategy. Before moving to the next slide, I would like to indicate my deep sorrow for mining workers who have lost their lives at the terrible accident yesterday. Turkish Export Assembly was founded in 1993 and celebrates an 20th year. We represent 6 regional and sectorial export associations acting under 13 secretaries' offices, with more than 60,000 active exporters. Our main activities are seeking solutions and common problems of Turkish exporters, representing exporters nationwide and abroad at the highest levels. The share of industry in export rose from 27% in 2017 to 93% 2013. Europe is our main export market, which is followed by Middle East market. The region sums up to 6% of total of export. 60%, sorry. Now, I want to speak about the Turkish economy and development of exports. Turkey's GDP has more than tripled to $820 billion last year, from $231 billion in 2002. Our GDP per capita come close to $11,000. Turkey attracted $12.4 billion FDI in 2013. During last 10 years, the total foreign direct investment was $136 billion. Turkey's growth expectations are higher than most of the growing countries. Our exporters expect 3.9% growth for this year. Now, I want to tell about 10 reasons for success in industrial export. There is a liberal and reformist investment climate in Turkey. Turkey is a potential EU member state in the course of accession negotiations and a custom union member since 1996. Turkey has easy access to Eurasia, the Middle East, and North Africa. Turkey has well-established transportation routes, organized industrial zones, and technoparks. Turkey has over 27 million young and well-educated workforce. Turkey has 77 million population with a median age of 30. Turkey has strong brands for foreign consumers. Turkey attracts greenfield FDI aiming to boost exports to the regional countries. Turkey has increasing university-industry cooperation. Turkey is applying huge incentives for R&D and innovation, fastly increasing the share of R&D and expense a percentage of GDP. Now, I want to talk about 2023 export strategy of Turkey. Turkey's 2023 targets are being among top 10 largest economies and reaching $2 trillion GDP, $25,000 income per capita, $500 billion exports, having 10 global brands. When planning our 2023 strategy, we conducted the first country-wide and sectoral level example of balanced scorecard approach in Turkey, which is considered as the most influential management idea of the last 75 years. Our export unit price is $1.5 per kilogram of goods exports. In 2023, we want to double it to $3 per kilogram. At this chart, you see the 2023 export targets of the top exporters industries. Automotive sector achieved 90 billion exports in 2013, and its target is the 75 billion in 2023. We divide our 2023 journey in the three phases. First, breakthrough. Second, investment. Third, leadership. Share of high-tech export was 3.5% last year. Our target is getting this to 8% in 2023. Share of middle and high-tech exports was 30% last year. Our target is making this 50% in 10 years later. We focus on our main components of high-value added export growth: R&D, innovation, branding, and design. Turkey will be able to overcome its account deficit when it closes its innovation deficit. To increase to awareness on innovation, we organized Turkey Innovation Week for last 2 years with 26,000 participants and 20,000 online followers, Team TV. Over 500 R&D projects were shown, 54 R&D centers, 16 technoparks, and 8 science centers attend the week. This year, the event will be during 4 to 6 of December. Now, we start to Innovalik project. With this project, we want to identify the leaders on innovation of Turkey. Innovalik program started of February this year and will end in National Innovation Week in Istanbul. Firms can register until 31st of May this year. In the first phase, registered firms will be evaluated based on innovation management capability assessment survey. And after semifinals and finals, innovation leaders will be determined. Registration to Innovalik can be done online at innovalik.com address free of charge. Thank you for listening to me. I wish you a nice conference day with lots of useful discussion and ideas.
I would like to thank Mr. Mehmet Büyükekşi. And dear guests, now please join me in welcoming Dr. Serhan İli, Managing Director of İli Consulting, to give his speech on innovation excellence and how companies increase systematically their ability for innovation. Dr. İli, an economic engineer with PhD, worked in Daimler and Porsche and specialized in product development, open innovation, and efficiency in R&D. In 2009, with the aim of sharing his knowledge and experience with all, he established İli Consulting. Mr. İli, the stage is yours.
Okay. Wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me here today. It's a great pleasure to speak to you. And I have a slightly different presentation for you today. So, I want to show you how important innovation is for companies. It was in 1990s. It was during the dominance of Microsoft, and there was a journalist, and he asked Bill Gates, which competition do you fear the most? Is it Sun Microsystems or is it Oracle? And what he answered was, yeah, two guys inventing a way in a garage somewhere. So he exactly knew that the power of innovation can be very disruptive. So, and the key message here is, it's not about how big a company is. It's about, according to Darwin, it's not the strongest that survives. It's not the most intelligent. It's the one that is the most adaptable to change. So, the ability to innovation is key. So what can companies do against the lack of willingness to change and slow innovation initiatives? So everybody of you knows 3M, the company, and 3M has a very tough challenge. And the goal for the goal for 2014 is to generate at least 50% of sales with products that are not longer 3 years on the market. So that's a very tough challenge. And even if you know that they have at least 60,000 products in their portfolio. So innovation is the best and sustainable growth principle. So when you look at the Forbes list, I guess everybody know the Forbes magazine, and when you compare the list from 1917, which includes the 100 biggest companies today, only one company is still on it, and that's General Electric. So, and there's a second list with the world's most successful companies that shows companies, they are only remain, in average 16 years on it. So innovation can change even human behavior significantly. When you look at that picture, you can see the St. Peter's Square in Rome and during the papal election in 2005. When you compare it to the papal election in 2013, you can see a significant change. So it's not only talking about trends, so it's about transferring the trends into your context of your company and generating some innovation. So let's go back to the definition of innovation. There's no clear definition of an innovation, but you can characterize it regarding its degree. So you have incremental innovation. So incremental innovation are little changes and improvements on the main function, and radical innovations, they create whole new markets with a wide range of new potential applications. And you can divide innovation into process innovation, product innovation, and business innovation. The main thing is that innovation is not only an idea or an invention, so it's the implementation of an invention, and which indicates a significant increase of value both for the company and its customers. So I have two examples for you. One example is very complex. It's from Hilti. So what everybody knows maybe Hilti. So what is the business model of Hilti? Is it selling hammer hills, not drama hills? So no, it's not. Hilti sells boreholes, so not tools. And Hilti provides the right tool at the right time, at the right place. So the business model innovation here was the only way out for Hilti to compete with the cheap tool manufacturers from China. The products can be imitated, but the service behind of that business innovation not. I have another example for you, and how would you innovate a jerkin jar in order to generate growth? Jerkin jar, salatalık in Turkey, so you know that. Do you have any idea how you can innovate this simple business model selling jerkin jars? So what does the company do? So Packaging, For example, 650 gram jerkin jars for example, €150, and you sell one packed in a lifestyle can, one original jerkin jar for $1.15. So this innovation made a huge growth on that company. So innovation is relevant for every company. I show this example almost every time in the companies, because it's not easy to convince the companies that innovation is required. So sometimes we feel like here in this situation, we came to the companies and they say, okay, we are very happy with our business, everything is fine, we are too busy, we really need no innovation. So we help our customers to innovate. In a project with Porsche, we transferred basic needs into an excitement attribute. What we have done here is we checked at least 100 functions, and we put it into relation to the customer satisfaction. Are they satisfied or dissatisfied? And when you look at that curve, it's very interesting. These are basic needs. These basic needs are taken for granted when they are fulfilled, but they result in disaffection when not fulfilled. Just remember the brakes. When the brakes from a car are working, so everything is fine, but the customer is not excited. And we have the second curve, the performance needs. So the better performance improves a higher customer satisfaction. So the car is faster or cheaper and so on. And our question was in this project, which basic needs can be turned into excitement attributes. So we wanted to achieve excitement attributes. We want to go to that curve. So, and what we have done here is, I don't know, is someone driving a Porsche here? You? No, okay. So here you can see some brakes. The red ones, that's a standard version. When you buy a Porsche, you get these brakes. But when you pay 13,000 euros extra, you'll get the yellow one. So that's a ceramic composite brakes, and that's one of the most sold features in a Porsche. So we turned a basic need into an excitement attribute. Yeah. We also help our customers to implement open innovation. So what is open innovation? Open innovation is a strategy to increase R&D productivity. So you know that companies doing R&D to satisfy the needs on the current market, and they have closed boundaries. So open innovation is opening up the boundaries and to let external knowledge and expertise flow into the company, combine it with external expertise in order to create new markets or satisfy other markets with own technologies. So open innovation means the enhancement of innovation, of the innovation base through external expertise, and the active exploitation of technologies and innovations outside of current market. Very theoretical. Let's look what's behind on open innovation. So it's quite easy when you look at your business case. You have your product revenues and your internal R&D costs, and you try to make more revenues through product innovations, and you want to improve your internal R&D processes through process innovation, and that's quite hard. So with open innovation, you can integrate some external ideas, and you can exploit through licensing, consulting, spin-offs, and sorry, was too fast. Okay. Yeah, through spin-off and through new markets. Here I have an example for you. So through open innovation, we have generated a new business model for Bombardier. Bombardier, they make trains, and the market for trains was very stable, with moderate growth. So significant growth was only possible at the expense of other markets. So they had a technology called inductive power transfer, so you can charge your electric vehicle without a cable. And we did a cross-industry technology transfer to Porsche, so it was a business model innovation for Bombardier and a product innovation for Porsche. They changed their strategy from simply functional transport to highly emotionless mobility. And we have launched this product innovation at the IAA for 2 years, 2 years ago with this Porsche e-Boxster. So what we are doing is we are innovation consulting group, and we are specialized in innovation and growth. And if some students are here, as I can see, I have a call for innovation think tank for you. We developed the future of cosmetic products. We have a project here, and the question is, how does the deodorant or body lotion or shower gel, shampoo, and so on looks like in future in terms of packaging, functionalities, and effects? And you can apply for that innovation think tank and work in a dynamic team. That would be a team with the CEO of this company and at least 4 students. And very engaged participants can gain internships, jobs, and of course attractive business contacts. So you can apply there until 30th of June, and you are highly welcome to participate. Thank you for your attention, and have a nice conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. And now I would like to invite His Excellency Christian Frey, Head of Innovation in Siemens, to deliver his talk on diversity to enlarge the potential for ideas and innovation. After his studies in electrical engineering and telecommunications, Mr. Frey started working for Siemens in Germany as a software engineer. After more than 10 years with Siemens, he joined a startup company, a pioneer in video over IP, and was responsible for global sales. Having gained a wider perspective and knowledge in this new technology, he returned in the year of 2003 to Siemens global headquarters of building technologies in Switzerland, and he conducted a post-study as patent and intellectual property engineer and built up a company for patent exploitation. Since 2001, he is back with Siemens in Switzerland driving innovations. He is also a co-author of the book Innovation Excellence, published in 2012. Mr. Frey, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Very good. So yeah, hello, welcome. My name is Christian Frey, and I'm responsible for innovation and patent coordination at Siemens Building Technologies in Switzerland. I'm glad to be here to share with you what innovation means for Siemens. My presentation title is Diversity to Enlarge the Potential for Ideas and Innovation. And diversity becomes a valuable resource for innovation as people see problems and solutions from different perspectives. A higher diversity results in a higher quality of ideas, and this is therefore a fundamental component of innovation. So how do we manage this? When it comes to innovation management, you have a process on one side and you have the people on the other side who drives this innovation process. So it doesn't mean that you only manage technology to be used in future products. It's much more than that. You need to manage a variety of elements as they are listed here. And the innovation strategy follows this, the business strategy, and the patent strategy that I am also responsible for follows the innovation strategy. So you have a clear process on dependencies. And innovation governance means, for example, that you have to find internal and external sponsors to fund your innovation projects. Because if you have no sponsors, you will have no success. This can be an internal business unit that is interested in your innovation, or if you do more basic research, then you also can apply for governmental fundings, for example. You need the experts with the right knowledge in the company, and also you need to share the knowledge on company level. For this, for example, we have a SharePoint site where people exchange their experience on our Reference Plus, so they can start a discussion what they are looking for, and they get reply from 350,000 people around the world. So what you see here is a typical innovation stage gate process that we also use within Siemens. You start with the idea funnel and with M-alpha that you see here. You collect all the ideas. You can use different methods to get the ideas. You have this brainstorming or brainwriting methods to get the ideas. It is important that you do not select already in this stage any idea, so that you take everything that you get to your funnel. On the next stage, on M-beta, you do a pre-selection, which is a grouping of similar ideas. Once you've done this, you select the ideas that you want to take for pre-development. So they must fit at least your requirements that you have defined before. Then it comes to the pre-development, and the pre-development is, let's say, something where you still are in an experimental phase. So the people there have they're very creative, and they have, let's say, they have to follow a process, but they are, let's say, a special type of group. And when you start the pre-development in M10, normally you do define the type of delivery. This can be a feasibility study, it can be a proof of concept, or it is a demonstrator that you want to show when the pre-development is done. From my experience, it is very important that, that you're here with the M20 when you start to implement what you want to deliver for the pre-development at the end, that you involve people already from product development. Because if you don't do this, you will later face the problem that you have this not invented here syndrome. So once you're done with your pre-development and you have a very great demonstrator here at the end, you won't get it into this pre-development path, into the product development path, because the people there think, well, I have not invented it, so it can't be good. That's why I'm saying you have to create a network, you have to build up the culture, and you have to involve people already up front to get their meaning, to get their ideas, and then they take it away. In the product development, you start with the M100. You have the design phase and you define what you want to deliver to the market. With M200, you have the implementation phase, which, for example, for software, you start the code writing, and with M300, you have the delivery. And once you reached M300, your idea becomes an innovation. If you don't reach M300, it was a flop. Here again, you see that development of an innovation culture is really crucial, and it's important to growth of the company. So if not everybody understands what innovation means for the company, then you won't make innovation. So for successful innovation management, you have to bring this all together and constantly challenge it. For an innovation survey, Siemens has also developed a method called Picture of the Future. You will find also details on that method on our magazine on the internet. It's the Picture of the Future method means you look into the future, for example, 2020, 2025, or 2050, like you see here for the book, 2050, and then you see how the world will change, how the market will change, what your customer demands will be. So it's a visionary view to the future. But then, once you have jumped forward, you have to check backwards whether your jump was correct. And this is the whole method, that you have this retropolation in your method, in the Picture of the Future method, to verify whether your jump could be a success or not. And you find this here also as an app. So you can download the magazines, you get all the information to the magazines for download. Now, I talked a lot about this innovation culture, and because it's very important for us, Siemens has created an innovative career path, which is called Key Expert Career. There's one story when the CFO went over his budget planning, and he recognized a very big number for employee education. So he saw this number, and he went back to the CEO and asked him, "Dear CEO, what happens if we invest in developing our people and then they leave us? So we pay a lot of money for education and then they leave the company." And guess what the CEO replied? "What happens if we don't invest and they stay?" So this is the challenge of today. And in order to keep the people staying, we have created a career path for experts, for our brains in the company, to reach the same level as the management. And this is what you can see here. So this is the standard management. So this is a C-level from corporate division level to business unit managers. These are the people in the department. These people are managing people, departments, business. So they make the money. Then you have the product management, project management career. The project manager is responsible to deliver a project in time and in budget. For example, if we have the order for a wind park, you need a project manager who is looking after this project and delivers a wind park at the end that is working. We have our experience with that. But for the key experts, or let's say the brains in the company that are really with the technology, there was no career path. So they have been pushed earlier into a management career where they have not been happy with, because they don't want to deal with all the politics in the company, they don't want to have all this governance work and so on. So there was actually no career for those people that are not interested in a leadership career. And this is why we created this. And I think it's very innovative also from the HR point of view. Now this slide shows what was driving us to create this career path for the key experts. It was primarily experts, we need experts in order to get successful innovations. Without innovations, we would not survive against the competition. So our brains are the best on subject matter experts and attracted to the standard leadership career path they are not interested in. So because they would have two disadvantages. One, on one side, they want to still work on their technology, but they have not enough time to do that. On the other side, they have the challenge of all this bureaucracy and politics within a company. So they will not be happy, and then at the end, they will leave. That's why we have these alternative key expert career paths. So what does it mean, or what are the criteria to become a key expert at Siemens? There must be a functional fit, though the job that you do must be a job where innovation and technology are core to the job. That means if you are a CFO or whatever, there is no expert career for that. So it must be really a technology. Then there must be a personal fit. As a key expert, you cannot be the genius in a garage. You have to have these capabilities to network on a global level. Therefore, you need good communication skills. You have to be able to convince people to get your sponsors. And you have to take ownership for what you do. Then there is an empowerment. Though the key experts, they have a special role within the company, though they have to be empowered by the management. And also the visibility. So you have, as a key expert, you also have the possibility to talk to the top management to present your ideas, and they listen to you. So we have really the senior leaders of our company, they really have an open ear for what you're doing, so they regularly talk to these people, they get the presentation. We have awards on where people within the company or groups within the company are competing, and we call this, for example, the Top Plus Award, where they then get also money to continue with their research. Recently, 100 million have been announced by our CEO, Joe Kaiser, for innovative projects. And so you have to apply to get money, but you have to convince also him and the senior level to get this money. So the annual alignment process for key expert is also depending on the business strategy and also on the innovation strategy. So there must be a demand for a certain technology where you need experts. And this is based on the innovation plan. I give you an example. I was responsible for smoke detectors. And the smoke detectors have optical measurement chambers. And now, these days, we have semiconductors, they do gas detection. And smoke is also kind of gas. So if you move now from the optical detection to a gas detection, you need completely different skills. So we have key experts for gas, not only for fire, to detect fire, but also for other type of gases. And these key experts we involve in our projects. But they are in the company, it's not many, but we have access to them, so we can now challenge a new idea on detecting fire just with gas, semiconductor gas sensors, instead of having this optical chamber. Then there must be a nomination for a key expert. The call for a new key expert is made through the annual performance management process. So the managers decide on who is becoming or where is a key expert needed and who is becoming this key expert. Then there is an approval by the higher management level, and then there is an involvement that the key expert gets access to a special network and core technology areas within the company. Today we have approx 1,600 key experts on the different levels, and you see a chief key expert is very rare within the company, but he's really the one who is globally leading a technology, has all the know-how about the technology. And then we have senior principals, seniors, and altogether approx 1,600. So that was it for the moment from my side. I thank you very much for your attention, and I would like now to hand over to my colleague from Siemens Turkey, Candan Gülü, to inform you about, especially the students, of course, on how to access Siemens or how to join Siemens for a key expert career. If you're not interested in the management, if you're interested in management, you also can talk to her, of course. But mainly, as I said, we have these innovation paths for the key experts, the people that want to continue with research and so on. So, Anna.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to thank you also, my dear colleague Christian. It was a good idea to involve this part in the presentation for the students listening to us today. As Siemens Turkey, we are a strong, big company as in the world, and if you want to join to Siemens, you have to, of course, apply after your graduation or during also your school for a part-time job. And we have a internet site on our website, siemens.com.tr, and there are all job openings presented, also the global openings around the world. You can see there, and you can apply directly from those job openings. The other way to become a team member of Siemens is doing your internship in Siemens. For this year, we are a little bit late because the applications start in February and ends in March. And for this year, we will have plenty of both university students as interns in our company. Again, from a website, from our website, siemens.com.tr, you can make your internship applications for the for your internship obligations. And Another way to join to Siemens is our scholarship program, which Boğaziçi University is also a member of it since 2000. You can see here the application criteria, and from some, of course, the engineering departments are mostly required, but all students can apply to our scholarship programs. And we also have key expert programs, project management as global, and our local key expert programs we are running since 3 years here in Turkey, and we will be glad to see you with us. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. And now we will have a coffee break for 15 minutes. Please enjoy.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Now I would like to invite Mr. Osman Boyner,
CEO of BD Auto, to deliver his talk on generation of innovation with the specific example of electric mobility and BD's foundation to execute on this strategy. Osman Boyner joined Boyner Group as CEO in 2001. He worked previously in New York, where he spent 3 years mainly in the area of risk management in banking sector. He co-founded the Turkish Venture Capital Association, and in 2009, he founded BD Automotive to invest into technologies and services that offer energy-efficient solutions in the sectors of ground transportation and building materials. Mr. Boyner, the stage is yours.
Günaydın. Ses geliyor mu? I'm doing it in English, don't worry. Geliyor mu? Huh? It's okay? Everybody can hear? Back? Oh, perfect. So. Dear friends, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, thanks for having me here today to share my experience on innovation and tell you about our startup, which probably, like almost every startup, is based or should be based on an innovative idea. In our case, the product and the process seems to be all innovative. And the more innovative it is, unfortunately, a shareholder as well, the costlier it gets. Innovation, unfortunately, costs a lot of money. And the longer the innovation period, or we call it incubation period, gets. Funny enough, the foundation of the startup coincided with the birth of our first child, and I look at it 5 years later. My daughter is quite talkative, socially self-confident, and almost independent. She thinks she is. She wants to be. But our startup, on the other side, is still being, as we call it, fed by milk from mom, and can barely walk. When it comes to talking, the startup is trying to mumble some words, but it's for sure not independent and does not even give a glimpse. When I look back and evaluate why our startup has been a challenging experience, we clearly see that our biggest differentiation was that we jumped in innovation into the pool of innovation and drank too much from it. One small advice from my side would be that even if you're innovating, keep it simple, keep it concentrated, and to one idea, to one product, or to one process. we find ourselves, and I'll go more into the details, innovating in many fronts, and that has made life difficult for us and tough. But we know if we succeed on this, we will have had our share of innovation almost for a lifetime. Before getting into more detail of our startup and the dynamics, the specific dynamics of the automotive and the oil industry, I would like to take a few moments to look back at the basic semantics of innovation. After all, this is a conference on innovation, and I thought I'll mention a couple of words how we see innovation and the philosophy behind the company. What I always seen, I'm an engineer by training, what I've seen always in nature is there's a certain yearning for every matter to be in a lower state of energy. So everything, if you hold a ball in the air, the ball wants to fall down. If you put water up on a dam, it wants to flow downstream on the river. Chemical reactions. We excite a certain ion, we bring it to a higher state level of energy, it wants to fall back. So everything in nature wants to go to a place where it is the lowest energy possible and where it is most stable. I think, and while doing this, while this is happening, during that transformation, a lot of energy is released. We call it kinetic energy. When you put water down and you create a dam, you produce electricity. In nuclear fusion, you do the same thing. You excite the material, and when it comes to a lower stage, it releases a lot of energy. So I find innovation to be very similar to this. You try to bring, there is an enabler, and you try to bring the subject in case to a lower state of energy. I know this might sound a bit abstract, but I wanted to give you some, the philosophy how we see innovation and what has driven us. And in every kind of, this sort of going from a higher state of energy to a lower state of energy, you have an enabler. What I call innovation, and it is a technology. So if you're really looking at across the border of innovations, that there needs to be somehow a technology involved. And this is the innovation is triggered by this technology, by this technological development. If we look at it a bit more in business terms, you would see innovation more a satisfaction of a need. Either you discover a brand new need, and you try to satisfy this need by executing a product, a service, or you try an existing need and you try to satisfy in a better way. So you create a product or a service to satisfy this need in a better way. And when I use the word better, of course, I mean cheaper, I mean cleaner, I mean in a more comfortable way. And as I'm talking these, of course, these are a bit abstract. I am hoping you're thinking of some innovations in the back of your minds. And I'll give you some now examples what I mean. Of course, the first is a very unusual or quite an innovative process. If you can discover a completely new need and bring a product or a service to the market. Most innovations we know today is the second category, and I'll concentrate more on that. Is that there is an existing need, and that need is satisfied in a better way. As we said earlier on, there is definitely an enabler technology involved to sort of initiate this process, and this technology can be either can be a supporting technology. I mean, I classify it into two categories. Either a supporting technology in which the supporting technology enables you to innovate the business model, the process, or the technology directly affects the product or the service being offered, in which case you innovate the product. The product itself is the innovation. So firstly, we've separated the first two categories. One was the existing needs, and the second was new needs. So we've gone down to existing needs and how we can serve this in a better way. Now we've tried to go again to two categories underneath. One is the technology enabler is the technology, and the business model is changing. And the second category, actually the technology, is the product in the center. Let me give you two examples of the first category, because our startup is more in that second category, where the technology, the new technology, is the product itself. In the first category, you see, and I'll give two examples, one from our incumbent industry, which is textiles, one example from the textile, how an innovation in that manner has happened, and one from an industry that we all are familiar, the film industry, how it has changed the distribution of film and how we're viewing of the film. So when we look at this first case, remember that the technology is the enabler of this innovation. The example is specifically, most of you probably know, I see the age crowd is quite young, so the example I have is Zara, and what they have done in the textile supply chain, the innovation, and what we call today, in the last 15 years, we call fast fashion. In the 90s there was something called fashion, but there was nothing fast fashion. Today it's a common term that we use, fast fashion. So here, let's look categorically again. What's the need? The need is simple, to be dressed. The need, so it's an existing need. It's an existing need that has existed for whatever thousands and thousands of years. The enabling technology is not very clear. It is a sort of a cloud. It's a development, a better and cheaper logistics. It is better information technologies. It's internet. It's increasing communication and cheaper communication. And the main innovation is in the supply chain. So I don't know what you sort of visualize when I tell you Zara versus other textile franchises. But Zara has made something very innovative in the 90s. They've looked at the supply chain and they said the most expensive part of the supply chain actually is the store itself, the retail store. That's the most expensive part of the supply chain. And you know, traditionally textiles was you put a pullover, you put a jacket, and it stays there for 3 months until it's sold. And if it's not sold, then it is discounted after 3 months. What Zara did is they looked at it, what I call with the approach of a greengrocer model. They saw textiles as tomatoes. So it's the product, a pullover, a jacket, is like a tomato. It's perishable in a couple of days. So if you cannot sell it in a couple of days, you better move it out. There is no need to keep that product there. And they've used the enabling technology, so the better logistics, the better communication and the internet, everything around that's coming in the 90s. And they've created fast fashion. So the problem was the long sourcing periods for fashion, which was creating 2-4 seasons per year. And the solution they brought was fast fashion, cheap. They were doing monthly seasons or even more frequent, 20 seasons a year. Again, the enabler here is not very clear. It's different technologies put together. In the second case, that falls again into this, the technology itself is not the innovation but the enabling, is iTunes and the film distribution. This is quite a recent phenomenon we've seen. The need is very clear to watch a movie. What is the traditionally, how did you satisfy this need? You went to a movie house, you went to Blockbusters, you went to a DVD store. What has happened, what has iTunes brought actually? They brought the movie to you. So instead of going out to the movie comes to you. It comes into a small box, into your home, through a telephone line that existed for many, many years. So the enabling technology, again, is not very, very clear, but it is a better broadband, better technologies, better access in your home to the internet. And innovation is strictly the business model. So we all call these innovations. Now let's come to our main case, what we've done in the automotive industry. These two examples, as I said, is technology is not the core. It's still, we call it innovative. We call iTunes, Apple innovation. Today, it's probably the most innovative company in the world. Everybody's talking, oh, let's make a product, an Apple product. Let's make an iPhone in our industry. So it's the most innovative. But actually, when you look at it, the technology is not that innovative. There isn't much innovation. We look at the automotive industry. What's the need? Transportation. It's very clear. You want to transport people and goods from A to B. That's the basic need. How do you satisfy this need today? You put yourself or your goods into a vehicle and you transport it. What is the extreme of this when you look? It is what we call, if you remember the film Fly, teleportation. So you get completely rid of any kind of device and you teleport yourself. We're still not there, and BD is not working on teleportation. But something in between. How can you make this more efficient, this transportation more efficient? Is you do innovation in the product, you do an innovation in the process due to the change in the product, and that's electric mobility. That's probably the definition of electric mobility. You're innovating the product, you're changing the product, and while you're changing the product, you're also changing the process of bringing that product to the market. Here, when we looked at this in the mid-2000s, it was very clear that we have two industries. One is the automotive industry, one is the oil industry. Two industries with very high barriers to entry, high capital investment, high regulation. And these two industries have got very lazy. They've become quite uninnovative. In the uninnovative way, I mean not innovative in looking at any disruptive technology, not in incremental innovation. Incremental innovation was something is still in both industries pursued very highly. And we did not see any major sort of innovations in the products, in the business model, in both of these industries. And that is a typical target, when you look at it, is for disruptive technologies. And a typical invitation for new players with no invested interest in that industry. When we looked lower, what was the core competencies of the automotive industry? We see that there are really 3 points. One is the engine, the core product in the car, in the vehicle. Second is the design, the assembly of the automotive that company, and a design and an assembly satisfying the regulation, hence underwriting of the product, as I call it. And the third is the after-sales structure. So you strip an automotive company today, what it is, and you really come down to these 3 main ingredients. The other industry, the oil industry, and this automotive industry, you look back 100 years, you see a sort of a silent partnership. Every day, the car companies produce cars that are based on fuel, and every day, fuel companies bring fuel to your doorstep, assuming these car companies will continue producing this. And as far as to my knowledge, there is no oil company that owns a car company, and no car company that owns an oil company. So there is like a silent partnership 100 years that if one of them is not changing it because it is easy, it is a very high barriers to big capital investment to change. Where this is exactly a very good place to see an innovation flourishing, a disruptive technology entering. And when we look at it deeper, where can this innovation happen? It's definitely the product. And this is what we saw in the mid-2000s, a product, not a new product necessarily, electric mobility, electric vehicles, not a new product, but that product being enabled by other technologies threatening these industries. I'm going to dig a bit deeper to give you to understand more the perspective. Is when you look at the automotive industry, you know, of course, automotive companies, they try to sell you products, and they say one of them says Vorsprung durch Technik, so it's a jump through technology. But the technology that I see is nothing else than what wife of Karl Benz drove in the 1880s from, I think it was Mannheim, from Mannheim to Pforzheim in Germany. She drove 100 kilometers on a 2-horsepower engine or 3-horsepower engine and used fuel. There's nothing different. Oh, it is a better product. Of course, you're using less fuel now. You can drive perhaps 1,000 kilometers on a tank, but it's exactly the same technology. After 150 years, companies like the name, I mean, I don't mean that all the companies are doing it, but they're trying to sell us as an innovative technology. But when you look at it at the doorstep, there is a place where companies like ours, small companies, startups, can replicate their products of this 150 years heritage and imitate it and satisfy exactly the same need, which is the transportation, in a cheaper, as I call, in a better way, in a cheaper, in a healthier, and in an environmental friendly way. So you look, this is a very, very good breeding ground for innovation, and the technology is there. I mean, I'll continue a bit more, but you probably ask yourself the question, why everybody's not changing to this, and why is that not electric vehicles are all over the place? Well, the reason why we went for, at that time in the 1880s, for internal combustion engine, which I must say at the same time, people have also created the electric motor, which is the core of electric mobility. Why we have gone to focus on internal combustion engines at that time was that fuel, as we know it, can store a lot of energy. Unfortunately, to this day, we don't know how to store efficiently electricity. The only closest way we can come is the chemical process, what we call in layman's terms batteries. And the batteries technologies are still very, very bad, relatively compared to fuel. But what we've seen starting with the research in the 70s, and which has come into the 2000s, a research and innovation in battery technology that has enabled us to satisfy this transportation need in again I'm emphasizing the same thing, in a cheaper way, in a cleaner way, and in a more comfortable way. Funny enough, I mean, that's probably the funny story of this, is that this initial technology of batteries was created by an oil company. By ExxonMobil in the 1970s. They were the first people who were doing the research on the battery technology because of the first oil shock in the US. They thought, okay, electric mobility now is going to come. We need energy security in the US. So they've launched on finding the next generation battery, which we use today in all our iPads, on our iPhones, and which still is not enough technology. I mean, the people who use iPhones, I don't use it, but I've seen them that they're trying to plug during the day. It's not enough even for a day's energy. So you see another technology here coming, the battery technology, enabling you to change the entire core competency that the automotive industry is bringing. How is it so? We said the engine, the internal combustion engine. Well, the engine is becoming suddenly irrelevant. When you look at automotive industries, to produce a new engine, people talk about $1 to $2 billion. And for this, they need quite an important volume to satisfy this. So they need to sell so many cars to justify an investment. Well, an electric motor, you don't have to do an investment. They're selling it everywhere. So when you look at this, suddenly you make up the automotive industry. You see that the years of investment they've done, the years of money that has been spent, is irrelevant. The second part that the automotive industry talks about is the core competency, is the design, the assembly, the regulatory part of this car, because the automotive industry doesn't really produce anymore their parts in-house. They really outsource it. And here, because you change the product, you change the engine, the expertise an automotive industry has to assemble these cars is not relevant anymore. A new startup can do the same. And the third part is the after-sales structure. Well, again, the product is different, so the after-sales structure you have in place cannot repair, cannot service the new product. So you see that this industry becomes suddenly a playing field for new startups trying to enter into this industry. What is stopping this? Of course, we mentioned the battery technology is not that well, not that good still to create a more forceful entry of new startups. One thing I would like to add to this is we talked about the engine that is changing. A second part that is changing is the body of the car. We see more and more usage, but we've seen cars that are made completely full from composite materials, which cars free of steel. That is touching into another industry, the steel industry, which feeds into the current automotive industry. Just to give you some sort of on the numbers, that 70% of all oil produced today in the world goes into ground transportation. So if we had switched our cars from gasoline cars to electric vehicles, 70% of all the oil that is being digged out of the ground would be unnecessary. You can imagine how much war can be prevented, how much turbulence in the world would happen for this. So you're seeing. And another number is 20% of steel, all steel produced in the US, goes into the US car industry. So imagine you do a composite structure, a composite car, you create 20% emptiness in that steel industry, which is important in many countries. Trying to wrap up, you can ask yourself, I mean, in all this big picture, what is the innovation we've done as a startup? We've tried to focus, again, in this whole big world, we've tried to focus, and we've tried to provide companies which are in the business of transporting people and goods, a new way of transporting their people and their goods. And again, going back to these three ways: a cheaper way, a cleaner way, and a more comfortable way. So for you, electric mobility might sound something completely out of this world, or it is not used. It's actually in an area where, well, as I said, is companies, commercial vehicles. It is something that has been done and is being doing. We are doing it, trying to increase the exposure, especially in Europe where oil is expensive. But electric mobility, when you look in the wider context, we do use it every day in trains, in subways, in trolley buses, in golf carts. So electric mobility is not something foreign. But how do you apply this to the wider industry? What the limitation of the battery I've just tried to explain has forced us to be, of course, innovative on our customer segment. We've tried to look at vehicles which are used in the same circle of operation and which are used in a lot of kilometers per year. So more than 25,000 kilometers has been our number. So our focus has been, our core of our innovation has been in this, the light commercial vehicle segment. I would like to stop here, and I think this industry, we are just seeing the start of a whole innovation coming in, that ways that we cannot think about. You cannot, I don't know how disruptive the new technologies that can be enabled with enabling being really the battery, the electricity storage behind it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Boyner. And now I would like to invite His Excellency Dr. Eric Rutschke, Technology and IP Leader Europe of IBM Research, to deliver his speech on Research 2020, the next frontier for cooperation and big data. With his team, he is managing the IBM technology collaboration and licensing business and coordinating the governmental research programs of the European research labs in Dublin, Haifa, and Zurich. He holds a PhD degree in electrical engineering from ETH Zurich, and after postdoctoral studies at the Institut Eurocom in France, he started his business career as a technology and strategy consultant and did grow an IT security startup in Switzerland. Doctor?
Thank you very much. So, can we put that here somewhere? Can you put that one? Okay, good. So, first of all, thank you very much for having me here. Well, it's a strange thing, you know, here, speaking about coming from research and speaking about innovation, because sometimes these are quite different things and different pieces. So, let me give you a quick background, quick story about my career. You know, I was a researcher. I did my PhD while working at IBM Research, and I thought I did a good thing and transferred it to a business unit, but I did not see a single client. That was for me a reason to leave IBM, because if you have done something that you think is good, you want to see a feedback, you want to see it in the market. I didn't see that, I had to go. And now I'm back actually in IBM, and why I'm back? Because one of the key things is that IBM has reinvented itself. IBM has found a way to actually bring the research part, which is very important, to the innovation part, which is then really bringing this stuff, all the great things that we do in the lab, into the hands of the client. Because in the end, it's all of you who pay my salary. And if I do not provide, as a researcher, what is of value to all of you, then probably I have not done my job. So, I hope we do a good job now, and I want to show you how we did actually develop over time. Now, I'm based in Zurich, the oldest lab outside the US. Now, you see, we did actually develop some labs over the last few years. Interesting thing is, IBM discovered about 4 years ago that there is a southern hemisphere, at least in research. Before, no research lab on the southern hemisphere. Why are we there in Brazil, in Kenya, in Melbourne? Well, it's a big part of the market. There are great talent there, there are great markets there, and if you do research that needs to end in a market, you have to be there. You cannot do an ivory tower research and without understanding what's going out there in these markets. So we built these labs. Okay, thank you. So, we are using these labs to really do in-market research. Because let's face it, we might have great people in Zurich, but they probably are not the best people to speak about problems that you are addressing in Brazil or in Africa. It's just, we just don't understand it. We don't have the mindset for that. So we are roughly 3,000 people, and as a total, we are R&D investment, we have this roughly 6 billion, 6% of our roughly $100 billion revenue. We are investing in R&D. Now, research is just the R, the research. It's not the D, it's not the development. But of course, our mission is to come up with the inventions that eventually change the world, that change the IBM Corporation. And I had at the introduction presentation, it was said there was one company that's still under the top ranks, it was GE. Now, they have it easy, it's the electrical machines, the generators, all the electricity stuff. It's sort of the same technology over 100 years. For us, you might remember, IBM did the PC. Well, we invented the PC, and we sold it again. The hard disk, where you store data? It's an IBM invention. We have come up with it, we made it important, and we sold it again. So one of the critical things for IBM is to invent itself all the time. Because what we must be sure about is that we come up with the right solutions to help the business of our clients in 5 years, in 10 years, and we have to come up with the technology for it. We are not here to push a computer, to push a hard disk, to push whatever. We are here to come up with the right solutions for our clients, whatever that is. And in order to do that, we have a very long-standing culture of innovation and a culture of research. Why research? Because if you want to have the solution in 5 years and 10 years that is there at the right moment of time and the right, let's say, quality, then you have to start pretty early. And that's why we are investing in great things like, basic science that ended up in Nobel Prizes. In our lab in Zurich, we have won 2 Nobel Prizes, one on superconductivity, one on tunnel microscopy. Probably don't know what it is, but it's not important. I can tell you that one is a complete failure. Superconductivity, well, the combined market for superconductivity is maybe a few hundred millions. In IBM dimensions, $100 billion company, not relevant. The other thing is raster tunnel microscope, very important. Without this thing, we would not be able to have the small chips, the small dimensions, the high powerful computer chips that we all using in our mobile phones today. Did we make money on it? No, not really. Was it important to actually enable us to stay in that business? Well, it was very important for us. It was very important for the entire industry. Now, going forward, what have we done recently? How do we make impact into the business? Well, some of you might have heard about Jeopardy. That was something, a test. It's like a quiz done in the US, highly televised. You have that on TV all the time. It's basically, all crazy questions, and you have to respond to that. And there's some very brilliant people who know the questions to just about anything. Know the answers to just about any question. Now, what we did in IBM was we did come up with a computer who did understand the question and was better responding to the questions than the human experts. So remember, maybe about 20 years back when IBM made headlines beating the first human chess champion? Now, that's a completely different ballgame here. It's competing with people who are experts in the field, who know a very broad knowledge, and we have a computer who beats them on their turf. A tremendous breakthrough. So we have found ways to actually extract more knowledge again from the data, from the internet, and be better in responding to quite many questions than these experts. Now, let's be honest about it. It was a big supercomputer behind there. It took dozens or maybe hundreds IBMers to program and everything, so a big investment. But what it did is it showed that with computers you can actually address problems that need what we thought before as human understanding, wisdom, and we can do it on a computer. Now, what we did now with that is we can show a few years later that we are now making business with that, making revenue out of that. And at the beginning of this year, our chairman did actually announce that we are investing $1 billion into building this as a business and coming up with a commercial offering based on this technology. So remember again, we sold hardware. Now we are selling, well, what are we selling? We're selling problem-solving capability, probably. It's not software. Well, we don't know quite yet what it is, but it's the thing that we believe will help you to improve your business in the future. Now, an important element of that in how we protect our competitive advantage is by having patent leadership, patent things, and with that, make sure that we have freedom of action. So this is just, an overview about who is patenting in the US. And we are #1 since quite many years. And I'm proud to say that we're also making money out of these patents, roughly $1 billion or so every year. We are getting a return on this investment in R&D, which helps, of course, then to reduce our cost of investment. But let's face it, this is just one element of innovation, one measure of innovation. What we did so in IBM, in this journey of innovation, was that, well, we started in this ivory tower thing. Remember my story? I was in IBM doing some, I believe, at least, great work, but I didn't reach it I couldn't get it to the client. And that was why I left. Now, IBM changed. We came up with models on how to collaborate. And over time, we also came up with ways to really drive collaboration. You might have heard about Smarter Planet. That's one of the ideas that actually was coming out of research. If we have all these sensors all over the place, we have to make something of it. We have to analyze them. We have to analyze the data and come up with more, with ways to actually improve business processes. What we have done over this time also is, well, IP. Well, of course we want to grow, but that's a linear growth. But what has happened now over the last few years was something which is really game-changing. When I started my career, I had a small computer and I was happy with a few megabytes of data storage. Today, I do not care. If I buy a computer, I buy it, it's looking sort of okay. But what I'm caring about is, what are the services that I'm getting? And with these services, we are generating a tremendous amount of data. Data is growing exponentially. It's growing hyper-exponentially. So there's a tremendous sea of data out there. Now, the important question is, so what we do with it? Well, yes, we have Google. But does Google really help you in your business? Well, that's an important question. And that's one question that we have to address. So we believe that data is sort of a new natural resource where, data is growing rapidly. 90% of all the data has been generated over the last 2 years. It's not, the long history, but it's exponentially growing. Most of the data is unstructured, so it's not in the database, it's not in your ERP system, but it's in all the data that you're collecting. And we see also that people are starting actually to take advantage of that to position themselves actually better in the marketplace. Now, having said this, this probably also has some profound implications. And that's how I believe it has an implication. Well, if data is this natural resource, then, well, what can we do with it? I think there's an important element of the skill that we have to build up to use it. Well, I learned many things in my university career, but I did not learn data analytics. So our curriculum will have to change. We, as senior managers, will have to learn how to work with this data. Intellectual property, very important. Access to the data, who owns the data, what can we do with the data? And actually, I just read this morning about a court case in Europe where they upheld that you, as a consumer, have a right to forget, to be forgotten. What does that mean? What do we do with this right to the data? Very important question. For me as a business, it has two implications. One is I want to protect my business with intellectual property. On the other hand, I want to protect my data and the rights to the data because that's a differentiating element. Now, I want to add a third element to it, and that's the brand and the reputation. Now, all this data stuff, let's be honest, who knows what that is? Who understands it? You? Me? Well, maybe. What we trust into is that somebody is delivering us a message and we trust it. Why? Well, if Google gives me the message, I believe that that's the right result because it's from Google. If your bank is telling you something that's the right thing, you believe because it's your bank and you trust the bank. So in this kind of environment, the brand and the reputation, who is delivering you a service, who is delivering you something is important. If you are in research, we had this thing about the citations. The reputation, the brand of the researcher is important. Because if you have somebody with a reputation, you trust him, you believe him, and consequently his results are of more value. And that's a new element. 10 years ago, you could come up with a good technical thing. Yeah, it's great, and you can actually then build something with it. It's not enough. You might have the best search algorithm, but you need to have the best search algorithm and the reputation of Google to actually make it a world-dominating application. And the last point is, well, it's very hard to bring all these things together, and therefore collaboration is a very important thing. Now I want to give you a few examples, and I'm very happy that I can relate to the previous speaker. He has spoken about batteries. Battery is the most important differentiator for electric mobility going forward. We have discovered that, and we started to work on that based in our Almeren and the Zurich research lab. We are working on lithium-air battery. What is that? Lithium-air is a battery which is about 5 times more performant than ours because we use a trick. First, we use a chemical mechanism which is very powerful, plus we are actually using the energy from the air to actually make this chemical reaction, and thereby we don't have to transport it all the distance. And with that, we get to an energy density which is comparable to gasoline. And that is a very important differentiator to really make the electric car, potentially in a few years, pervasive for you as a consumer in your private use. Now, how we do that? We did actually work on that in a typical way how we do it in research. We worked it as a research problem, and we applied computational modeling in a partnership with some US national labs. We could use the biggest supercomputer, and our team could actually come up with real understanding about how this works. And 5 years ago, well, there was some quite important misunderstanding how lithium-air works. Today, we really know how it works. And we were able to actually come up with cells that are working, that we can cycle quite many times. Now that's great, except my friend here, he cannot use them. He needs more of sort of development so that he has a real product that he can actually put into his transport systems. So what we are looking now is to find ways to have combined investment, a bigger combined investment in this technology so that eventually it gets mature and can be deployed in every car. Who can do that? Well, IBM. Sorry, we are not the guys who know how to put something in a car, not our expertise. But maybe we can find partners that help us to go there. Another example where we use this kind of data is applications here in the industrial space. We're working here with a company in Australia. They use big mining equipment. And the big problem with this is, this is a big capital investment. If these things break, then, well, you have a big loss just because it's not operational. Now, if you can actually understand how these work and understand when they potentially fail and can do preventive maintenance, then actually you can have them operational much more and be more efficient. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're collecting all kinds of data, doing then machine learning on it, understand how things break, and then try to intersect that so that we can do some maintenance, some effort, some change maybe in the system, so that we don't have the repairs somewhere out in the field, but can do it when they're not used. One of the very typical industrial applications of this buzzword, big data. Another field which is pretty close, I think, to all of us is medical data. Quite all of us have some kind of medical records. The big problem with that is that most of them still on paper. If they are on an electronic form, then, well, who understands that? And it is a medical doctor who probably understands it, but let's face it, this guy did his exam 20 years ago. He did learn a bit, but he's not a specialist. Now, what we understood is by mining quite a number of medical records, that's all unstructured data. Medical doctors scribble down things, typing in things. By just mining this data, we could identify a number of cases where patients are actually at the risk of heart failure. So can you imagine what that means? So basically, if you are working there and suddenly you get an email from, let's say, your medical doctor or a call and said, please come by. We think now that it's good if you make, something, that would be a tremendous advantage in sort of, the kind of healthcare that we can offer. Now, that would be an advantage. The big problem with that is regulation. And there's many of these fields, and we are in quite many projects in this kind of area. But how can we actually get that through regulatory approval? Who is paying for that? So this is one of the fields where we see that there's lots of data. We can analyze the data. We can come up with good technical solutions. Now, the important question is, how can we come up with real innovations, meaning offerings, services that are available, that we can bring out, that somebody's paying for, and that you as a patient are taking advantage of. And we believe that this is a very active field where we will be investing much more time and effort into it, and where we are working with, and will be more working with partners to actually address that. Because again, IBM, we are good in sort of mining the data and coming up with the hints. We are not the medical doctors to tell you then what to do. And we're not the people who know how to go through FDA or whatever approval and come up with a service for that. And a last example that I want to give you in terms of where innovation is actually possible with data is actually us, our company, your company. It's very interesting if you look into our data, how many data what big amount of data we're having and what we can actually do with it. We did actually start that within our lab in Zurich. We tried to work with all our client data and try to understand, using also external data, what are the needs of our clients, what did they use, what did they invest, and also how do they compare on some sort of key performance indicators where then potentially we can say, well, that is an opportunity to invest more or maybe to solve a problem, something that they probably do not have realized yet. And it's actually very successful. We have just 2 days ago, we could give one of our researchers award because they influenced $100 million of business just by looking into this kind of data and then helping our sales organization, the marketing organization, how to address their clients in a better way. And the interesting thing about that is that this is all internal data. It's not bothered to a big extent by this data regulation issues that we're having with consumer data. It's something that in an industrial company you can do immediately, right now, because you know so much about your clients, you know so much about your suppliers. Just mining this data and understanding what's going up there might actually help you to drive real innovations, which is, by the way, not technology innovation, but it's actually an innovation in your business model, in a better way operating your supply chain. So I want to show you now how we believe new things evolve in innovation and actually in research. We see that there's a new approach to problem solving. I've mentioned big data. The analytics of this data is something that is here. We are working on that. There's a second element to it, which is modeling and simulation. Now, we're doing that with quite many things, with batteries. You might do that with your cars. You might do that with whatever industrial product that you have. With that, you can actually come up with solutions, and you can build actually this kind of a feedback loop to come up with new technical solutions. Now, let's be clear about that. That is coming up with new technical solutions. It still needs the entrepreneurial spirit to then actually make out of a technical solution something that can be sold and be successful in the marketplace. But you can actually get quite a bit more data, quite a bit more insight about what you're doing and how you have to solve it by using this kind of a feedback loop. And all of that actually in the computer. Not in the wet lab of a chemist, not in or of a biologist, not with the engineer's bench, but actually in the computer. What we see as sort of a vision going into 2020 is, well, we already are at the level where we can assist people using the data in all kind of their jobs. We want to go up there and help in understanding and getting insights from the data. I think we can show here some examples where we are there yet. But the holy grail actually is to go up to actually help and really make decisions based on this data, to say, now I have to intervene and maybe have to call a patient saying, now please come to the hospital, you might have a risk of heart attack. That would be great. Or, more down to the earth maybe, if I can actually call up and somebody on a car driving his Porsche and say, now it's time to come back because there is something with your brakes, whatever. The grand challenge, we think, is that you can really then come up with some new discovery and insight that we as humans haven't understood yet. And I want to give you a maybe silly but interesting example that I tested myself. You see this here? That's a cocktail. And this cocktail has been generated by Watson the chef. So Watson, that's this computer program that we have developed that did mine all kind of recipes and then came up with a new recipe for us, which said, do mix all these things together, try it. And interesting enough, it was really great. Now, would you, and all the ingredients, you wouldn't have thought about it. And we tested it. We had a CTO event in our lab about 2 months ago. And we tested it and gave it to all the CTOs, and they liked it. Was there any human person involved in making the design of this or the recipe? No, it was a computer recipe. They just came up with this, and so it's already, an idea of something, a discovery, a new recipe, all done by the computer. Now, that's a play, that's a game. But it shows you sort of, where things might go over time, that the computer really can then make deep analysis of materials, of all kind of problems, and then come up with good recipes, or at the very least be a very, very strong supporter of the human expert that wants to come up with an innovative solutions for something. So with that, I'd like to conclude. I hope that I could show that data is a new natural resource. It is the basis for insight, it's the basis for innovation, it's something which will become more and more important. There are technologies already out there that help us to get this kind of insight. And actually, we are betting our corporation, our company, on that we and our company will help you and will help the world to come up with better insights in all this data. That's our future, that's our strategy. As part of that, we also see the modeling, basically understanding all kind of systems in the computer as an important element to come up with that. So the next car will not be designed on and built. It will be first modeled full from A to Z, like is a plane, like any product, and probably also analyzed then by the computer, and of course always supervised by good engineers. Now, another element that we in innovation very often forget is the brand. Because, let's face it, all these things are exotic. Who understands it? How do you trust the results there? And for these things, the brand will be extremely important. Because if you go somewhere, if I travel, I hate Coke, but I know that if I drink a Coke, I know what I get. So that's the reason why I drink Coke. It's not because I like it, because if I'm somewhere out, I know that the Coke at least I can drink. It's the brand that helps me a lot. And think about all these things which are even more complicated, how important the brand will be to make these things accessible in the marketplace. And in order to actually to make this vision happen, we strongly believe that collaboration is the thing. Because, yes, we have the algorithms to do an analysis of the data, but it's not us who have the data, it's you. It's a hospital who has the medical data, it's maybe an oil company who has all the well data, and by now combining the data with the analytics, we probably can come up with something new and generate insight. And that's exactly why this is an important element of our strategy, this kind of partnering. By bringing together these elements and the skills, of course, that we have in our people, in our researchers, I think that's a key element of innovation. But still, I really like your votum before. Innovation is where we really find then a business opportunity that you can realize, which might not be driven by technology itself, but technology is always an important enabler for that. So with that, I'd like to close my presentation and give back to you, I think.
Thank you, Doctor. And this is the end of our first part. And now we will have a lunch break until 1:30. Please enjoy our campus. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We will be continuing with our first talk, and I would like to invite Mr. Ata Selçuk, Innovation Coordinator in Eczacıbaşı, to deliver his speech on the innovation journey of Eczacıbaşı from local to global. Graduated from Middle East Technical University in 1989, he worked in Abdi Ibrahim Pharmaceutical Company in marketing and sales departments, and in 1999 he started working in Eczacıbaşı as marketing and sales managers. He is currently Innovation Coordinator in Eczacıbaşı. Mr. Selçuk.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here and to talk about our story from being a local company to a global company, and also related with our innovation journey. And before start to my presentation in English, Türkçe başınız sağ olsun demek istiyorum hepimize. 205 madencimizi maalesef kaybettik. Sayı giderek artıyor. Onlara Allah'tan rahmet, ailelerine sabır diliyorum. Bunu da Türkçe olarak yapmak istedim çünkü herhalde acılarımızı en güzel dile getirmenin yolu kendi dilimiz olsa gerek. Evet, bu başsağlığından sonra I will continue in English to my presentation, and I would like to start with those brands and asking a question. When did you meet with those brands first? The answer should be a long time ago, most probably. But I'm sure you all use at least one of these brands today or in the past. We introduced all these brands as a local company to Turkish consumers, not only with the brands, of course, also the categories of the brands. And for example, we sold some of them, such as Prima, Orchid, and Ipana to P&G. And P&G is still using the same brands because those brands are very powerful in their own sectors. And we can say actually innovation is in our DNA. And our founder, Dr. Necat Eczacıbaşı, started ceramic business by producing some tableware in small furnaces. And today, in Turkey, Eczacıbaşı is the leader of the most of its businesses and one of the major players in the bedroom industry in the world. And if we look at very briefly who are we, what we are doing, in which businesses we are operating. Eczacıbaşı Group founded in 1942, as I said, by Dr. Eczacıbaşı, Necat Ferit Eczacıbaşı, and the group is one of the latest Turkish industrial group with its 41 companies and almost 12,000 employees and net sales of almost 7 billion TL. And our core sectors are building products, healthcare, and consumer products. And as in the right end, you see other products and services. We also functioning in some other industries such as finance, information technology, welding technology, and property development under that division. And today we are living in tough times. Why? Just because there are many producers in every industry, and as you see in the graph, supply exceeds demands, and the price is one of the main competition tool for the companies. And some other challenges for innovation. Markets are very complex, as you all know, and very competitive. Customers are much powerful than ever, and shareholders are demanding higher and higher. And in that complex and competitive environment, every company is trying to create a customer, as Peter Drucker says, and differentiation and having competitive advantage are both must in order to create a customer. And innovation is the only way or tool to differentiate in those complex environments. That's why all organizations consider innovation as a life-saving tool and expecting high returns from their innovation investments. We also believe in that innovation is very important for our company, and it's not a destination, it is a never-ending journey for us. As we did before, today we still have to differentiate our products and services through innovation. And we started Millennium and also our innovation journey with a vision which is to double our group value in every 5 years. And to double group value in every 5 years means that also to double our net sales, profit, and also generated cash. And to be able to double all those components of our group value, we also have to create many customers in every industry where we are in. And it was a tipping point for our innovation works. And we said that at the beginning of our innovation journey, we have to integrate innovation into everything we do. And it has to be our way of doing business. As in the Boston Consulting Group survey stated, leadership is very important for the innovation. And in the group, our CEO took the leadership of our innovation journey, and together with the CEO, all executive vice presidents and general managers become natural leaders of their organizations for that journey. And then the strategy comes. We believe in that we have to build a strategy, innovation strategy, to be able to succeed our targets, and we have to cascade all those strategies to our company's business plans and also individuals' performance appraisal forms. After building that strategy and business plans, the very important component of our journey is to create innovation-friendly environment in the company. With innovation-friendly environment, we are saying that we have to clear all those obstacles in front of the innovation according to the Boston Consulting Group survey again. And we started to define what is innovation. And we created our own definition for that, which is the value-creating implementation of a new idea. And in addition to the definition of the innovation, we also define what is not innovation, because there are many myths in the team's mind, which is creating also obstacles for the innovation success. Those are, for example, innovation is not an only invention. The second one, innovation is not only R&D. The third one, innovation is not only related with product and technology. There are many other innovation types, such as process innovation, business model innovation, marketing innovation, organization innovation, and some others. And the fourth one, we are not expecting only radical innovations from our teams. Incremental innovations are also important for the innovation journey success. And innovation is not occurred by chance. We have to work a lot to be able to successful in that journey. And as a sixth myth or sixth definition of what is not innovation, innovation is not an individual work, it should be a team work. Not only the company team, all our stakeholders should be in that team. And we created our internal ecosystem in the company, means that it's not related only with the R&D department, it's the business of all other departments. And we created internal ecosystem in the company. We work together with the teams, and also we created our external ecosystem with our stakeholders. And then the ideation phase comes. We know that to be able to create one commercial success, we have to have at least 3,000 raw ideas. To be able to open up our team's mind and to collect all those ideas, we learn many methodologies to gather them, such as Blue Ocean, Ford innovation techniques, and some other methodologies as well. And we believe in that our internal resources are not enough to collect all these amount of ideas. Together with our internal sources, who are our employees, we also used open innovation techniques to gather some ideas from our stakeholders, who are our business partners, customers, competitors even, and academia as well. Our team started to use their creative right brain as well as their analytic left brain, and we conducted many workshops to gather their ideas and projects, and we established a group-wide idea generation system, and we gathered almost 6,000 or 7,000 ideas in every year. As I said before, we conducted Blue Ocean strategy workshops, and at the end of those workshops, we organized visual fairs for their proposed projects. We work together with our stakeholders, dealers, consumers, suppliers, and some other academia members, let's say, to work together and co-create some projects together with them. And we also used open innovation techniques internally and externally. We opened calls whenever we need something. After having all those ideas, I mean more than 3,000 ideas in a year, we have to converge all those ideas, and to be able to do that, we use Stage and Gate as a filtering model. And at the end, we said that to be able to improve our performance, we have to measure our performance as well, and we create our own model to be able to measure our capability and performance level for innovation. And we validate this model by participating in some innovation awards with our innovation champions, and they were also the winner of those awards. And the rewarding is very important, as in all other functions. We created a very good compensation model and bonus system for our innovation efforts, and it's mainly based on incentivize, not based on a penalty. And at the end, we succeed all our targets regarding doubling our group value and also increasing our new product ratio from 23% to 34% at the end. And it's in between 35 and 40 nowadays. But while we are growing, there is another issue. We are consuming more energy, more natural resources. Then means that our footprint is also increasing. Then we said that while we are growing, while we are doubling our group value in every 5 years, that's okay. But it should be with less footprint, and it's another important pillar for our innovation efforts. And we focused on sustainability and eco-innovation. And we accepted life cycle approach for our sustainability efforts, starting from raw material to disposal, and innovation in every step of that product life cycle. And these two become the main drivers of our innovation strategy. And at the end, again, while we are growing with our business results, we also realized our sustainability targets. We decreased our energy consumption, we decreased our carbon emission, and we decreased also our water consumption as well. And as I said before, innovation is a never-ending journey for the company. And in that journey, okay, we have to balance radical innovation efforts and incremental innovation efforts as well. And to be able to create some or develop some radical innovations, we opened our innovation center in 2011 in Bozüyük, and we hope that in the near future you will see our radical innovations in the market. And in that journey, I can say that we do not want to discover some other fields, and we learn how to look at all those fields with different looks. I would like to thank you for listening me, and if you have any questions, it's a pleasure to answer your questions. Okay, please.
So you are so successfully about it, and how's your opinion about the other companies' policy concerning use innovation as a tool for their competitiveness and growth and other area? Thank
you. I wish I give you a very positive answer for that question, but unfortunately, if you look at the Turkish companies, first of all, we have not any Turkish company in the most innovative companies in the world, in that list, in that league. And we are trying to be innovative with our industries and companies. We have some innovative companies, but not with enough numbers. I mean, these are not more than 10 or 20, let's say. To be able to reach our 2023 targets, innovation, as in all companies' case, innovation is a very important tool for companies and for the country as well. That's why, we have less companies who are eager to be innovative, but we need more support from the government. At least we need, we have the shortage of know-how, let's say. That's why, together with universities and together with NGOs and with the government, as in the ecosystem, we should come together and we should try to create more and more companies and to develop more and more innovations to be able to reach our targets and to be in the first 10 first 10 countries in the list. Otherwise, it is very difficult to reach those targets without innovation. What else? Okay, please.
How is your institute is connected to students and other applicants from outside?
Our group is working together with universities as well. As I said in my presentation, we have many projects we developed together with universities, with Sabancı University, with Istanbul Technical University, with Akdeniz University, Koç University, and some others. There are some academicians that are working together with us in those projects, and we also open some competitions in university students for design, for example, and in some other areas. That's why we are trying to cooperate and collaborate with the universities and with the university students as well. Is there any other question? Okay, there is another question, please.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Regarding the modes that you have presented, like we've just seen like the invention, which is considered as part as it equal the innovation. Then I think the improvement of something existing. But what about the imitation? When we imitate something existing somewhere and then we improve it, do you think that this should be considered as part of innovation?
I couldn't get the question. Please make it brief.
We have 3 modes of innovation.
Yes.
Our 6 modules. First of all, the first one I captured was invention.
Yes. Okay.
Then the second one was improvement.
Okay.
And I'm asking about imitation. When you imitate something existing and then we improve it, do you think that this mode can really exist today?
Yes, okay. I mean, invention is the first one, but as I stated in my presentation, innovation is not only invention first. And imitation, okay, if you look at the companies or products in the market, there are some imitations. We call them not imitations, let's say inspirations from the competitors. But for example, if you look at the Apple products, those are very big innovations, but they are not the first one. They are not the inventions. If you look at, for example, iPod is an imitation of some MP3 players, but to be able to have a commercial success, whatever the source is, imitation, invention, whatever it is, you have to create some additional value on top of whatever you are imitating. If you create a value, for example, if you look at iPad as an additional example, there were many tablet PCs and e-readers, but iPad create more value for their consumers and now is the market leader. Then inspiration is okay, but not a one-to-one imitation or inspiration or copying. To be able to innovate something, you have to create some additional value. Okay. I think that's it.
I have a question here.
Sorry, I couldn't. Yes, okay.
First of all, thank you very much for the presentation. It was a very detailed one, and I'm proud of Eczacıbaşı as a Turk
Thank
here.
you very much.
My question is about your innovation center.
Yes.
So it's an innovation center. It's not just R&D, right? You deal with not just product innovations, but also process and service and other types. Is that right?
Officially, it's an R&D center. In that law, we are working under that law, which is 5746. But we did not call, or we have not calling this center as an R&D center, because innovation is not an R&D for us. Innovation is not only for products and technology, as I said before in my presentation. That's why we called that center as an innovation center. Of course, there's an R&D department working under that roof, but in that center, we are coming together with all other departments, with HR, with finance, and production, sales, and some others. We are coming together, and we are conducting some project groups. We are working together with those groups, with those teams, under, for example, with the methodology of Blue Ocean strategy, or with the methodology of design thinking, or fourth innovation, whatever the method is. We are developing some projects, and we are assessing those projects, and we are presenting all of them to our top management. And at the end, those projects which are selected, we are transferring them, if they are the products, we are transferring them to the related department. If it is a product, we are transferring them to R&D department. If it is a business model, we are giving those projects to the related departments. It might be a sales, or it might be an HR, or a production, whatever it is.
And I have one little more question. It's about the statistics about the ideas that you collect. What is the percentage of ideas that, I think you have screening processes, like you accept the idea or pre-accept the idea, and then it goes into more detailed analysis. How many ideas do you collect every year, and how many ideas can you convert into products or services?
First of all, there are phases, of course, in our model, in stage and gate model. The ratio from idea to the next step is 14%. And as a number, we are generating 6,000 to 7,000 ideas in the group, and 2 to 3% of them are transferred to product, services, or business models, let's say. Yes, please.
It is often said that big companies often lack the organizational or structural expertise to adapt to the environment quickly, such as small entrepreneurial startups. You have talked about your strategy, but I'm also interested in the specifics. Who are the people behind this strategy? How do you coordinate? When do you meet? How do the meetings go? And what is the general culture regarding the decision hierarchy?
First of all, in the innovation, in all our studies, there is no hierarchy. For example, as I said, we are gathering some teams to work together to develop a project. A specialist might be a leader for that team. A director works together with under his or her leadership, that specialist leadership. That's why we are filtering our titles while we are working for innovation projects. This is the one. And we have some, for the culture, regarding culture, it's very important part. As I mentioned as innovation-friendly environment in my presentation, to be able to create such an innovation-friendly environment, it's something different. First of all, it should be accepted as a never-ending journey. It's not a one-time. It should be continuous. And the second thing, it should be everyone business, not a one department, one or R&D business. It should be accepted like that, starting from CEO to the security person in front. Everyone should think how to differentiate our company, our products, services, business models than our competitors, and how can we be different than yesterday. We are always fostering all those methods and workshops, cultures, just to create such an environment. And the most important part, we are improving our performance and capability as well, how we are capable to innovate, and whatever process, process performance level of our company or the group. And according to the result, we are trying to improve ourselves. And incentives are very important. For example, we have a bonus system for innovation, additional system for our bonus system. It's not under 100% of the performance. For example, if we are not in innovation efforts or studies, does not mean that our level is 95%. If we are working, those 100% is our operational targets. If we are working for innovation, if we take place in those teams to develop some projects, it's an extra bonus for the individuals, means that 100 plus. Then it's a very, very dynamic and different culture than other companies as far as I know. That's why it's very important to create that culture. Once more, okay.
Then recruit. I mean, the biggest problem often managers are facing is to find quality workers. So what is the human resources department doing, and what is the efficient way that you are looking for people who are good enough for your job and for innovating?
In our HR or recruitment system, we have some tests, as many other companies are applying. But in those tests, we have some extra tests to be able to understand are you innovative or are you adaptive? Or if you are innovative, are you, for example, an idea generator or a project manager? These kind of attitudes we are trying to measure, and according to the needs of the department, we are replacing all those characteristics according to the results of them. Okay, I think finished. Okay, Dr. Eli, yes.
Second question is, how do you ensure the transfer from an invention to an innovation?
Regarding open innovation, first of all, we started, there are some barriers in Turkish companies or Turkish teams' mind. These are intellectual property issues. If we accept an idea, for example, from the system, and how we process it, how we get that idea or how we transfer that idea, and how we argue and agree with the idea generator. These are big obstacles. To be able to break those obstacles or filter them, clear them, we started with internal open innovation system, which is normally idea generation systems is one way, one direction. If you have an idea, you are giving your idea to the system, but we change it. It's double-sided. As an individual, you can give your idea, or as a company, if you need to have some ideas about some specific subject or field, you are opening a call and asking the ideas of the people or ideas of the team. And they used to interact with the parties like that. And after using our internal open innovation system, some companies are become a member of the open source open innovation system, such as AçıkInovasyon.com or IdeaShot system. There are some systems in Turkey as well in the world, all around the world, and they are using those systems. And we are opening again calls, and we are getting some ideas. If we accept them, we are understanding with the IP rights, and according to that, we are transferring all those ideas into our system. Is it okay? Okay. Okay, I think it's the last questions because the time is finishing. Okay, what is the question?
Hi, thank you. My name is Naguib. I'm from the Islamic Development Bank based in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I am actually more interested about your open innovation system. We have actually also established such system within our bank, and we're also inviting staff to give us ideas. But how do you maintain the enthusiasm of the staff? Because the enthusiasm will be carried forward if you can implement the ideas that was given by the staff. So how do you make sure that their ideas get implemented, or if they don't implement it, how do you still keep that enthusiasm for people to keep on sending you new ideas?
We have bonus, or we have incentives for that. First of all, while we are opening a call, we are declaring if we choose an idea from the system, or if we implement that idea, we are giving some gifts, not a small gifts, big gifts, and additional incentives for that. For example, if we accept and if we transfer it to product, business model, whatever the idea focusing on, if we get a profit, or if we generate a revenue, and from the profit, with some percentage at the end of the first year, 12 months, rolling 12 months, we are giving some percents to the individuals according to the importance of the call that we open. From gift to the percent of the profit we generate from that idea. And it creates an enthusiasm in the team, and it is valid for the third parties as well. If there is no other question, I think I finished my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Selçuk.